Hey y'all, 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, and that means we're at Rosetree Blown Glass Studio and Gallery in lovely Algiers Point, New Orleans, Louisiana. Well, thank y'all for coming. We are going to show you a little of our magic today. We're going to make a vase. Today, the melodious tones you hear behind the phone will be that of my lovely bride again, Miss Brenda. Darcy is away on some R&R, so she'll be back on Thursday. So what we'll do is we'll get started. On my Facebook post, what I asked you to do is pick a number between, the first four people, pick a number between 1 and 7. The reason I did this is we are going to start doing things kind of like this, where my viewers will be picking the piece. So I have 4 different categories. One is the body, one is the color, the other is the decoration style, and the other one is the lip. So I know I have a math teacher out there. We have 4 choices, 7 in each choice. I want to know how many possible combinations that we actually really have. But anyway, let's come over here. Last Thursday, this was the one that Darcy had picked before she left. And what she wanted was a flat piece with feathers, the downward feathers, in purple, her favorite color, and pinched lip. Okay? So these are some examples of different pieces that you can make. And we're calling these our Design Your Own series. And if you go on our website, we have in our events section, we have a page for Design Your Owns. So you can see each of these has a different kind of lip, each has a different kind of shape, each has a different kind of color, and each has a different kind of decoration on it. So you can mix and match to make your own. And with the Design Your Owns, you are the designer. So what we'll do is we will get a certificate of authenticity that says you are the designer and I am the master glass blower, and you'll get that with the piece that you designed. Anyway, so let's get started. The picks that came out today were, the first one was number 2, which is an inverted cone. That's the shape. The second one was number 4, and that is turquoise. The third one was number 6, and that is the dizzy decoration. And the fourth one was number 4, and that's a flared lip. So we're going to have a inverted cone, turquoise, dizzy decoration with a flared lip. All right, so that's where we're going to start. And as always, come on in, tell us who you are, where you're from, give us thumbs up, hearts, you know the deal. If you're on a watch party, we can't see you. So if you want to comment, you got to come over to our page and comment here. All right, we're going to go to the furnace and get our first layer of glass, so come on with me. So, inside the furnace, and I explain this all the time because we have new people coming in all the time, so I don't want to take anything for granted that we're doing. Inside my furnace is a ceramic bowl called a crucible. The crucible can hold 400 pounds of molten glass in it. So it's 2,050 degrees inside there, and we're going to get one layer on right now, and that layer will be clear, and we'll put the turquoise color onto that. So this is my first layer. We have to build layers to make the piece because we can't just get one big blob out from the furnace. So we do it in different layers, and you can see that the glass is really soft and a liquid. When the glass is 2,050 degrees, it's a liquid. So we're going to go over and put some color on it now. And today we're using all chips. The color that I'm using is, there are two main companies that we buy our color from. One just moved from New Zealand to the States, and the other one is in Germany. And they make colors that are what we call compatible. Compatible colors mean when the glass expands and contracts for heating and cooling, the compatible colors expand and contract at the same rate as the clear glass. If it doesn't do that, if I got something that has a different expansion rate, then the glass will crack. So it's very important to have compatible glasses when you make things. That's why people ask if I can use a Coke bottle or use some sort of pretty bottles that their alcohol comes in or whatever. That glass is different than my glass, so it's not compatible, so it won't work. So that was 2 layers of color. So the more layers I put on, the denser the color is on the piece. And I want to put a lot of color on this because we're on the first gather. And the first gather is going to blow out a whole lot because we're making a pretty good size base. So actually I'm going to put 4 layers of the color on it. And if you see, I have to keep turning all the time. If I stop turning, the glasses start to droop because all the laws of physics still apply inside Rosetree. This one being gravity. All right, so that's pretty good. That's a nice layer of turquoise on there. I'm going to heat that in one more time and blow out my starter bubble. So do we have people watching?
Yeah, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law watching. Lynn and John are on. Hi, guys. Yeah.
Now, we've been doing blow your owns for 10 years now. And with this COVID thing, we're not really allowed to do it and don't really want to do it just yet, just because we're not really sure about the safety of it. And now what, I'll come back to that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow at the end of the pipe, put my finger over the end, trap air inside. When the cold air hits the hot glass, it heats up and expands. And what we'll see is, you're not going to see the bubble itself, but you will see the outside line of the glass was straight, and now you see how it's bulging out. That tells me that the bubble is in there and set up for the next gather. So anyway, getting back to the blow your owns. So instead of doing the blow your owns, what we're doing really, we're doing the design your owns. And so that's a nice way for you to interact with us and get a really nice piece of glass that you design. So we're going to do that for the next few months because we would have been off during the hot summer months anyway. We wouldn't have been doing the blow your owns during June, July, and August. So June, July, and August we're going to be doing a lot of the design your owns, and then we'll see in September if we're able to start doing the blow your owns again.
Got a bunch of beautiful threadheads watching.
Welcome. Welcome. And if you're new, if this is the first time on here, please let us know, say hello. We have a lot of people who've been here. We've been doing this since, I looked it up, since March 18th or 19th. So it's almost 3 months. So we have people who've been here every day with us. Thank you for that. And we have people who come in and out, and we have new people all the time. So don't think you can ask all the questions. Brenda will let me know what the questions are, and I can answer. I can talk and blow lots at the same time. So I can answer your questions, and we can go through and make the whole vase during this session. All right, so this glass has to cool down to support the next layer. So you see the color's pretty much gone. Usually it's like orangey down at the bottom here. So that's pretty much done. So I'm gonna put another layer of glass on top and get my dizzy colors. So one more layer over here. So that's my second gather, my second layer. Again, you see how it's getting bigger because there's more glass on top. So it's getting thicker. I have to keep turning it all the time. If I stop turning, it starts to drip, and we don't want that. So we're going to go over and put the other color on. And I'm going to set up for that. You see those 4 lines I have right there? Those are the color lines that we're going to put on to make this kind of decoration. Can everybody hear me okay? We turned off a lot of the fans in here, so it's a little warm, but that helps us, it helps you to hear what I'm talking about. So to make the dizzy stripes, really all I'm going to do is put the stripes on, like so. So I have 4 stripes now. I'm going to heat this up, and I'll give it a good spin to make it go down around the piece.
Jerry Lynn says she can hear you just fine.
Thank you. Now I do have some artist friends who are on here a lot, and I hopefully have some new artist friends who are coming over from, we do a wholesale show, or we are on a wholesale site called Indie Me, and that's just for stores. And what they're doing this past week is they were doing a virtual show, and hopefully some of the people from the virtual show are coming over here virtually to watch me. It's part of the show is lives and discussions and that kind of thing. So you see what happened with the virus shutdown and everything. All of the shows have canceled. All of the a lot of the stores, or most of the stores, were shut down, and now they're starting back up again. So that was a good place for them to do some shopping for the galleries. So I'm going to spin this a little bit more, and you'll see that the colors are starting to wrap around the piece a little bit more. And the reason I call it a dizzy decoration is it has that spiral going all the way around. And I'm going to just match up all the ends of the dizzy lines, so all the spirals meet in one point. So you see, that's my spirals. I got my turquoise color inside. I got my blue, green, and white spirals going down. And I'm going to just set that up for my last gather.
My cousin Kimberly says hi.
Hi, Kimberly. So, very hot and humid today in New Orleans. We're just getting over the remnants of Cristobal, who gave us a lot of rain. Thankfully, didn't give us anything like a hurricane. So, left it very humid and warm here. So I'm just evening that off and setting up for my next layer. So I explained, blowing glass is kind of like a chess game where you have to set up for 2, 3, 4 moves in advance. So I'm going to blow out that bubble a little bit. Again, I'm looking at the outside of the gather. So you see how that blew out? So it's thicker in the middle now. So I know my bubble is all the way down about to here. And I'm going to let this cool off a little bit because it's still a little warm to put back into the furnace to get the next layer on top. So what I'm looking for, my indicator is down here where it's still kind of orangey red. I want that to be just a pretty much clear color of the pipe, so it'll be all the way to black underneath. Once that's done, I'll get my next layer on top. Always have to be hydrated. I drink a lot of liquids during the summer. I think I'm on my third one of these today already. Alright, so you see it's lost a lot of the color. Kind of get one last layer on top, and that will be enough for us to do one of these design your own vases. Alright, last layer. Again, it's 2,050 degrees inside. So you see it increased dramatically in size. So I'm going to bring that over and start shaping it. And this is called a wood block, and the wood block is soaked in water. And what this does is it allows me to shape the glass so that when I blow it out, the bubble goes in the right direction. So also what's happening is the outside layer is heating up the inside layer so that when I blow into it, that inside layer doesn't stay hard. It'll be soft enough to start blowing out. So I'll do that twice. And you see I have a nice thickness of clear at the bottom. Do we have any new people out there, Brenda?
I don't think so. One couple people said it was their first time watching.
Wonderful. Glad to have you all on over for our broadcasts. We do them every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 o'clock Central Time. And you can just come and hang out with us. My friend Jerry Lynn says it's her moment of Zen. So if I can give you a moment of Zen, I'm all for that. Alright, so the glass is shaped, and what I'm going to do is set up for the start to blow. I'm going to heat the whole thing up. I'm going to cool the bottom tip a little bit, and then blow so that the part closest to the pipe starts to expand.
Darcy said, look at those beautiful swirls.
Hi Darcy, we miss you. Alright, so blowing into it, trapping the air, you can see how it starts to expand closest to the pipe. So you see that if you have the glass at the correct temperature, it'll blow out. If you don't, if it's too cold, then it's like blowing into a Coke bottle. It just doesn't work. So that's the beginning of my bubble for shaping. And what I'm going to do next is cut in what's called a jack line. And this is one of the chess moves. I'm cutting in the jack line now, but I'm going to need it 4 or 5 moves further down the line. But this is the time to put it in. So this is when I do it. A jack line is a line that I cut in to allow it to come off the blowpipe so that I could heat the lip up and shape the lip. So right now, the part that's closest to the pipe is the lip, and it's attached. So I'm going to cut my line in, and because we have a special lip on this, I'm going to cut 2 lines in. With that lip, that second line is going to be for the lip to fold over. Do that one more time, evening everything off.
Hi, Shaw. We miss you too.
I'm going to make these lines deeper so that it's easier to come off of the pipe when the time is ready. Whew. Hands are very sweaty and slippery today. Even that up again and start blowing out the shape. Any questions, Brenda?
No questions, yet, not yet.
You guys, I can answer questions if you want them. One last jack line, I think. I said it didn't go in quite as easy as every day because my hands are sweating. Alright, so the jack line's in, that's where it's going to come off, and that's where it's going to fold over to be the lip. So now I'm going to increase the size by blowing into the piece and shaping it while I'm doing that. Always turning. I'm going to swing this around and lengthen it a little bit. A little more shaping.
Kimmy wants to know what are all the different kinds of blow your own events that you offer. She missed the beginning.
Blow your own or design your own?
She said blow your own.
Well, we're not doing the blow your owns right now. So the design your owns are on our link on our page. We have different. We have a. You can do different base shapes. You can do different colors. You can do different style decorations, and you can do different lip choices. So there are 4 different categories. And there are 7 or so choices in each category.
So Casey wants to know how much are the design it yourself pieces. He's across the river and he said could he pick it up or have it shipped?
Either or. We do a non-contact pickup if that's what you'd like. Or we do shipped. Whatever's easier for you, we try to make it easy.
The gallery's open, so.
Yes, the gallery's open, so you can come by. We do ask people to mask up and to just kind of going by the CDC regulations, which means masks, and we have gel stations placed all around the studio and gallery, so yes, we can ship or deliver. Alright, so I'm actually measuring as I'm doing this because the designer owns the base is supposed to be around 12 inches, and that's 12 inches. So I'm going to elongate this a little bit more. Oh, I didn't talk about how we elongate. So elongating is using centrifugal force to elongate. So when I come out of the furnace and swing it around, centrifugal force makes the glass longer by just moving away from the center, which are my hands. So moving away from the center, it gets longer. So as you see, as I spin it, it's getting longer. So now I'm just going to do some final shaping. So you see there's an inverted cone on the bottom. I'm going to heat that up, shape it a little bit more. Again, I'm always turning, always watching my heat. Real close. Real close. So we have a 12-inch base, flat bottom, so the bottom is called a foot, with flat foot here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to heat up the whole piece. I'm going to get another rod, stick it on the bottom, cut it off here, and transfer it so I can work on the lip. I am going to get the rod on the rod, which is called a punty rod, that sits and waits for me. Getting a little bit of glass on the end. And then shaping that. Set up a release on this for later. Again, we're talking about 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. I'm going to stick this on the bottom. Got it right in the middle, which is a good thing. I'm going to use a file which has diamonds impregnated in it. Diamonds in water will set up a chill line on my piece. And hopefully, when I tap it, it'll come off. So it's transferred now. The bottom of the piece, the foot, which is attached to the bottom of the punty, attached to the punty, is done. The top part is the part that I'm going to shape now. This reheat is probably the longest reheat because that part that was closest to the pipe was the coldest part of the piece. So we have to get that to be the hottest part of the piece. all the time I have to keep the whole piece hot or it'll crack off the punty. But I have to keep the lip even hotter because that's what we want to shape. We want to keep the shape on the bottom and make the shape on the top.
Darcy said, "What a pretty purple vase you have on the marver."
Who designed that? Surprise! Alright, so I'm giving that a good heat. Now I'm going to see if I need to trim it with some shears if it broke off unevenly. And if Barry is watching, he just asked that question last week, and I didn't give him a complete answer. But the complete answer is I always trim because sometimes the top is uneven. So by trimming, I can bring that back being even. Alright, so I'm going to heat the whole thing up again. And start to make my flare. So I got to heat up the punty and then back off of it and get a nice hard heat on the lip. And you see that extra space that I had on the top gives me that flare. I'm going to do one more heat. I'm being very gentle with it now because the punty is, it doesn't seem to, but it's getting colder and more brittle and fragile. And you notice my reheats are taking a little less time because I'm keeping some heat in the lip while I'm working. What do y'all think? I have a inverted cone, turquoise color, dizzy stripes, and a flared lip. I'm just cooling this down a little bit because when I take it off, I don't want it the shape to change. Alright, so inverted cone, turquoise, dizzy decoration, flared lip. So I'm going to give it one last flash, is what we call it. Then I'm going to go over to the crack-off table and take it off of the punty and put it in the oven. So, now comes the test. The test being that I put the punty on too hot, too cold, or just right. So, just right. If it was too hot, it would take a big chunk out of the bottom. If it was too cold, it probably would have fallen off by now. But just right means there isn't a whole lot of glass left, and it doesn't take a big chunk of glass out of the bottom. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a torch and just fire polishing the rough spot where it broke off. And then I'm taking my gloves, heating them up a little bit. And put those into my oven. So that's called an annealing oven. An annealing oven is 920 degrees or so. And so when that piece is put in the annealing oven, it's still 1,000 degrees or more. And it has different, the lip is hotter than the foot. So what happens in the annealing oven, it stays in there and the temperature stabilizes over the whole piece. So at the end of the day, I will put that on a turn down and slowly turn the temperature down by computer from 920 down to room temperature. It takes about 16 hours or so. So when that piece is done after 16 hours, it's at room temperature and cool to the touch, and it would not have cracked. If I just left it out when I was done, it would go from hot to cold too fast, and it would crack. So, I'm glad that you all are here. Brenda's doing one last round of the kind of different styles for design your owns. So, glad you came. Again, Rosetree Blown Glass Studio and Gallery. We are online, rosetreegallery.com. You can see we have a bunch of sales stuff up, and Father's Day is coming up, so you can get some stuff there. That would be great if you could support us. I would love that. Facebook, Rosetree Blown Glass, but you know that because you're here. Instagram, Rosetree Glass Gallery. So I'm glad you came. Thursday we will show you the piece in real life. And as always, take care of one another, love one another, and thanks all for coming, and we'll see you later.